You wake up, check your phone, and open your banking app. Your heart sinks. You stare at the balance, and for a second, you think there must be a mistake. You didn't buy a new car. You didn't book a luxury vacation. You didn't even buy those expensive sneakers you wanted. So why is your account almost empty? This is the reality for 90% of students and young adults today. It is a silent, creeping feeling of financial panic that follows you around like a shadow. You work hard. You maybe even have a side hustle, but at the end of the month, you are right back where you started. Broke, tired, and wondering if you are ever going to escape the rat race. I know exactly how that feels, because I used to be that guy. I remember standing in the grocery store, calculating if I could afford the good brand of pasta sauce or if I had to settle for the generic one. It is humiliating. It makes you feel small. But here's the truth that nobody tells you in school. The reason you're broke isn't because you don't make enough money, although that is part of it. The real reason is an invisible habit. A habit so subtle, so ingrained in your daily routine that you don't even see it happening. It is stealing your future, dollar by dollar, day by day. And if you don't identify it and stop it right now, it will keep you poor for the rest of your life. The invisible habit I'm talking about is what I call frictionless consumption. Back in the day, if your parents wanted to buy something, they had to physically go to a store, take cash out of a wallet, count it, and hand it over. That physical act of handing over money created pain. It registered in their brain that they were losing resources. But for you and me, that pain is gone. We live in a world designed to separate us from our money as fast and as silently as possible. You double-click your phone to pay for coffee. You tap a button to summon an Uber. You swipe once to order food delivery. You don't feel the money leaving. You only get the dopamine hit of the product arriving. It feels like magic, but it is actually a trap. This lack of friction tricks your brain into thinking these small purchases don't count. You tell yourself it is just $5 here or $10 there. You think these are small decisions, but that is the biggest lie in personal finance.
Let's look at the math, because numbers don't lie. Let's say you are a typical student. You grab a coffee before class. That is $5. You are tired after studying, so you order a burrito bowl for delivery. That is $20 with the tip and service fee. You take a ride share to meet a friend because it's raining. That is $15. In just one single day, you spent $40 on things that are gone instantly. You have nothing to show for it. Now, $40 might not seem like a life-changing amount, but let's zoom out. If you do this just 3 times a week, that is $120 a week. That is nearly $500 a month. That is $6,000 a year. Now here is where the invisible habit turns deadly. It is not just about the $6,000 you lost. It's about what that money could have become. This is called opportunity cost. If you had taken that $6,000 and invested it in a simple S&P 500 index fund with an average return of 10%, do you know what happens? In 40 years, that single year of wasted spending would have grown to over $270,000. That is $250,000 that you literally ate and drank away in your 20s. That is the price of the invisible habit. You are not just spending $5 on coffee, you are robbing your future self of financial freedom.
The old way of thinking says you deserve these little treats because life is hard. The old way says, I work hard, so I should play hard. But that mindset is exactly what keeps the banks and corporations rich and you poor. They want you to be a consumer. They hire psychologists to design apps that make spending feel like a game. They want you to prioritize looking rich over actually being rich. The new way? The way of the wealth builder is to recognize that every time you tap your card, you are making a trade. You're trading your freedom for a fleeting moment of convenience. I want you to try an experiment for just 3 days. I call it the cash diet. For the next 3 days, stop using Apple Pay. Stop using your credit card. Go to the ATM and take out the cash you think you need. Physically handing over a $20 bill feels completely different than tapping a screen. It hurts a little bit, and that pain is good. That pain is your brain waking up. It forces you to ask the most important question. Is this purchase actually worth the hours of my life I had to work to pay for it? When you start thinking in terms of hours worked instead of dollars spent, everything changes. If you make $15 an hour, that delivery meal didn't cost you $20. It cost you nearly 2 hours of your life. Was that burrito worth sitting in a lecture or standing behind a register for 2 hours? Probably not. This leads us to the second layer of this invisible habit, which is even more dangerous than the spending itself. It is the subscription creep. We used to buy things once and own them. Now we rent everything. You have Spotify, Netflix, Amazon Prime, maybe a gym membership you barely use, and a few apps on your phone that charge you monthly. Each one is small, maybe $10 or $12, but together they form a monthly tax on your life. You are bleeding money before you even get out of bed. The invisible habit here is passivity. You sign up for the free trial, forget to cancel, and then just accept the charge because it feels too much effort to fight it. That is exactly what they're banking on. A wealthy mentor once told me, if you can't control your money when you have a little, you won't control it when you have a lot. Most students think the solution to their problems is just making more money. They think, once I get a real job, I'll stop being broke. But that is a fantasy. If you have the invisible habit of frictionless consumption now, making more money will just mean you spend more money. It is called lifestyle inflation. You'll just buy more expensive coffees, order more expensive delivery, and take more expensive Ubers. You will upgrade your misery, but you won't escape it. You have to break the cycle now while the stakes are low. But fixing your spending is only the defensive side of the equation. You can pinch pennies all day, but you cannot save your way to millions if you are earning peanuts. This brings us to a massive realization that most people miss. While frictionless consumption is the hole in your bucket, there is another invisible force that is preventing you from filling the bucket up in the first place. It is a mindset trap that 90% of students fall into, and it has to do with how you view your time. You are likely trading your most valuable asset for pennies, thinking you were being responsible, when actually you were digging yourself into a deeper hole. The second invisible habit keeping you broke is the hourly wage trap. Most students look at an hour of their time and put a price tag on it. You think, I can work at this coffee shop for $15 an hour, so you take the job. You work 20 hours a week, you make $300. You think you are winning because you have cash in your pocket, but you are playing a losing game. When you trade your time for money, you are capped. You only have 24 hours in a day. You can never scale. You are essentially a hamster running on a wheel. The moment you stop running, the money stops coming. That is the old way of earning. It teaches you to be an employee who follows orders and gets paid a fixed rate. The new way, the way that young millionaires are built, is to trade your time for skills, not just dollars. This is what I call the multiplier effect. Instead of working 10 hours at a dead-end job for $150, imagine you spent those 10 hours learning how to edit videos, how to code, or how to write persuasive copy. In the beginning, you make $0. That feels scary. It feels like you're wasting time, but you are actually building an asset. Once you learn that skill, you can sell it over and over again. You can charge $50 an hour, then $100. Eventually, you can build a product or a business that makes money while you sleep. The wealthy understand that in your 20s, your primary job is not to earn income. It is to acquire leverage. Every new skill you learn is a tool that allows you to pry more money out of the economy with less effort. But I know what you're thinking. I have bills to pay right now. I can't work for free. I get it. I've been there. You need to survive. But you have to be ruthless with your spare time. The invisible habit is wasting your off hours. You work your shift, come home tired, and then scroll on TikTok for 3 hours. That scrolling is the real poverty trap. That is 3 hours you could have used to read a book on investing, watch a tutorial on drop shipping, or start a YouTube channel. You have to stop looking at your time as free time and start looking at it as building time. If you're broke, you don't have the luxury of 3 hours of Netflix. You have a business to build, and that business is you. Now, let's talk about the third invisible habit, and this one is the most mathematically devastating of them all. It is the habit of waiting for the perfect time. I hear this every single day. I'll start investing when I graduate. I'll start investing when I get a real job. I'll start investing when I have $1,000 saved. This sounds logical, right? Wrong. This is financial suicide. The reason is a little thing called compound interest, which Einstein called the eighth wonder of the world. Let me break down the math because it will blow your mind. Let's say you start investing just $100 a month at age 19. You put it into a standard index fund that tracks the S&P 500, getting an average 10% return. By the time you are 65, you will have over $1 million. You literally become a millionaire on pocket change. Now, let's say you wait. You tell yourself, I want to have fun in my 20s. I'll start when I'm 26. That is only a 7-year difference. It doesn't seem like much, but if you start at 26, investing that same $100 a month, do you know how much you end up with? Roughly $480,000. You lost more than $500,000 just by waiting 7 years. That is the cost of procrastination. That 7-year delay didn't cost you a few bucks. It cost you $500,000. The invisible habit here is thinking that you need a lot of money to start. You don't. We live in the golden age of finance. You can download an app right now and buy a fractional share of stock for $5. If you have $5 to buy a latte, you have $5 to buy a piece of Apple or Tesla. The amount doesn't matter as much as the habit. You are building the muscle of being an investor. When you click buy on a stock instead of a pair of shoes, you are flipping a switch in your brain. You are telling yourself, I am an owner, not a consumer. That identity shift is worth more than the money itself. So, how do we fix this? We have to remove the human element. You and I are flawed. We have emotions. We have bad days. We see a shiny new gadget and we want it. If you rely on willpower to save and invest, you will fail. The banks know this. That is why they make it so easy to spend. You have to use their own weapons against them. You need to automate your wealth. This is the pay yourself first principle, but with a modern twist. Most people get paid, spend money on rent, food, and fun, and then save whatever's left over. And guess what? There is never anything left over. That is the broke student formula. The wealth formula is the exact opposite. You set up an automatic transfer. The second your paycheck hits your account, a percentage, even if it is just 10%, is instantly ripped out and sent to a separate savings or investment account. You never see it, you never touch it. You learn to live on what remains. It is amazing how quickly you adapt. If you have $500, you spend $500. If you have $450, you figure out a way to survive on $450. By hiding that money from yourself, you are forcing yourself to save without the pain of decision-making. You are building a fortress of wealth in the background of your life while you sleep, study, and party. But there is one final barrier. It's not math, and it is not a habit. It is a social pressure that crushes more dreams than bank failures ever could. It's the fear of looking cheap in front of people who are just as broke as you are. You go out to dinner with friends, everyone is ordering drinks, appetizers, and desserts. The bill comes, and someone says, let's just split it evenly. You know you only ordered a salad because you're on a budget, but you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to look poor, so you smile, nod, and throw down your card, paying for someone else's lobster while you go home stressed.
This need to fit in is the fourth invisible habit. It is the social ego tax. We spend money we don't have, to buy things we don't need, to impress people we don't even like. Realize this. Your friends who are flashing money, they are likely drowning in credit card debt. They are leasing that car. They are financing those clothes. They are acting rich, which is the fastest way to stay poor. Being truly wealthy is often boring. It looks like driving a used Honda. It looks like wearing a plain t-shirt. It looks like cooking at home. You have to be willing to be the weird one. You have to be willing to say, no, I can't afford that right now, or I'm saving for something big. It feels awkward the first time you say it, but do you know what feels worse? Being 40 years old and still living paycheck to paycheck because you were too afraid to say no to a dinner invite when you were 20. Your real friends will respect your hustle. The ones who don't, they are anchors dragging you down. Cut them loose. You are on a mission to buy your freedom, and you can't afford to carry dead weight.
This journey is not about depriving yourself of joy. It is about redefining what joy means. Is joy a $5 coffee that lasts 10 minutes? Or is joy looking at your bank account and seeing a safety net that means you can quit a toxic job whenever you want? Is joy a new pair of sneakers? Or is joy the knowledge that you are building a legacy that will take care of your future family? The invisible habits of frictionless consumption, low-value labor, waiting to invest, and social ego are shackles. Today, you have the key to unlock them, but knowing the path isn't enough. You have to walk it. You have the map now. You see the traps, but seeing them is only the start. You have to choose to be different. Choose to invest that $5. Choose to ignore the pressure. It won't be easy, but it is worth it. Your future self is begging you to start today. Don't let this be another video you forget. If this helped, hit the like button, subscribe to Master Your Money, share this with a friend. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get to work.